The final assault begins. The sky was filled with smoke, and the air tasted of ash. The city was burning, the ruins of once thriving civilizations scattered everywhere. The few remaining survivors hid in the shadows, too scared to move. The invading alien forces had arrived with overwhelming power. They were ruthless, crushing humanity's cities and wiping out entire populations. Hope was nearly gone, and Earth's defenders were on their last legs. At the command center, General Carter stood before a screen, his face hard with determination. He could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. The invasion had been brutal, and despite all their efforts, humanity had been pushed to the brink of extinction. Earth's last line of defense, its military forces, had been decimated by the alien onslaught. Cities had fallen, and the world was fractured. Most of Earth's population had been wiped out, leaving only a few pockets of resistance scattered across the planet. The invaders had seemed unstoppable. They had technology far beyond what humanity could dream of, and their numbers seemed endless. Every attempt to resist had been crushed, and the aliens had marched forward with ease. General Carter knew that Earth's survival depended on one thing: the Apex Unit, a secret project, one that was kept hidden from the world, a force unlike any other. And now, with everything at risk, it was time for them to rise. The Apex Unit was humanity's final hope. For years, they had been trained, enhanced, and prepared for this very moment. They were the strongest, the smartest, and the deadliest soldiers Earth had ever known. But even they were untested in battle. They were the planet's last hope, but General Carter wondered if they could truly make a difference. In the heart of the command center, a small group of officers worked frantically to prepare the Apex Unit for deployment. They had been waiting for this day, the moment when humanity's secret weapon would be unleashed. The soldiers were ready, but were they ready enough to take on the aliens? The alien army, led by their ruthless commanders, was preparing for their final strike. They were confident that this time, Earth would fall. Their forces had already overwhelmed the planet, and they thought nothing could stand in their way. They didn't know what was coming. The Apex Unit was about to change everything. Inside the Apex Unit's base, the soldiers stood in formation. Their armor was sleek and strong, designed to withstand any attack. Each soldier had undergone intense training and was genetically enhanced, giving them strength, speed, and intelligence far beyond that of ordinary humans. Their weapons were state-of-the-art, capable of destroying entire fleets with a single strike. They were humanity's last chance. Captain Rain, the leader of the Apex Unit, stood at the front, his eyes scanning the faces of the men and women before him. He could feel the weight of his responsibility. The mission ahead would be dangerous, and they all knew the risks. But there was no turning back now. The fate of Earth was in their hands. "We've trained for this," Captain Rain said, his voice calm but firm. "Today, we fight for humanity. We fight to take back our planet." The soldiers nodded in unison. They were ready. The command center buzzed with activity as General Carter issued the order. "Deploy the Apex Unit," he said. The words were simple, but they held a powerful weight. As soon as the order was given, the Apex soldiers boarded their advanced warships. The engines roared to life, and the ships shot off into the sky, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind as they sped toward the heart of the alien invasion fleet. The alien commanders watched from their ships, unaware of what was coming. They had grown too confident, believing that the humans were all but finished, but they were about to learn that they had underestimated Earth's final weapon. As the Apex ships entered the battlefield, the alien forces turned their attention to them. The invaders had never seen anything like these warships before. They were fast, sleek, and equipped with weapons far beyond their own. But even more impressive were the soldiers themselves. The Apex soldiers deployed from their ships, their enhanced strength and speed, allowing them to strike with lightning-fast precision. The alien forces scrambled to defend themselves, but it was already too late. The Apex Unit was there. General Carter watched the battle unfold from the command center, his eyes glued to the screens. The apex soldiers moved with deadly grace, cutting through the alien ranks like a hot knife through butter. Every strike was calculated, every move made with the knowledge that the fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. Despite their strength, the apex unit was not without its challenges. The alien forces were fierce, and they were not going to give up without a fight. The battle was intense, with explosions lighting up the sky and gunfire echoing across the battlefield. But the apex soldiers were relentless. They pushed forward, taking down alien ships one after another. With each victory, they gained more ground. They were proving to be everything humanity had hoped for. But as the battle continued, the alien commanders realized that they had been wrong to underestimate the humans. They had thought Earth was weak, that the humans would never be able to stand up to them. But they were wrong. The apex soldiers were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their home. They would not back down. The aliens responded by unleashing their own weapons, desperate to stop the apex unit. Massive alien war machines appeared on the battlefield, their weapons capable of leveling entire cities. But the apex soldiers were ready. They adapted to every new threat, using their enhanced intelligence to outsmart the aliens at every turn. They were pushing back the invaders, and the tide of the battle was beginning to turn. General Carter knew that this was only the beginning. The apex soldiers were powerful, but the alien forces were vast, and their leaders would stop at nothing to crush humanity. This final assault was far from over. But for the first time in a long while, General Carter allowed himself to feel hope. Earth was not done yet. The final battle had begun, and the apex unit was leading the charge. The battle raged on across the shattered landscapes of Earth. Cities, once filled with the laughter of families and the hustle of commerce, were now ruins, with only smoldering remnants of their former glory left behind. Yet, for the first time in months, hope flickered on the horizon. The apex unit, humanity's last hope, was fighting back with everything they had. And the alien forces, once so confident, were beginning to feel the weight of the human resolve. Captain Rain led his squad through the ruins of a once great city. The ground was pocked with craters, and the air was thick with the smell of burning metal and scorched earth. His soldiers moved swiftly, each step calculated and precise. Their enhanced abilities made them faster and stronger than any normal human soldier, but it was their unbreakable spirit that gave them the edge. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the very soul of Earth. As they moved deeper into enemy territory, explosions echoed in the distance. Alien warships hovered above the battlefield, their weapons firing relentlessly at the advancing humans. The apex soldiers darted between wreckage and debris, dodging fire and returning shots with deadly accuracy. Each alien soldier they encountered fell within seconds. The apex soldiers were methodical in their approach. No hesitation, no mercy. Push forward. Captain Rain barked, his voice cold and focused. The city center is just ahead. We need to take that command post. The soldiers nodded in unison, their eyes locked onto the target. The city's central plaza was the last stronghold of the alien invaders, and taking it would mark a critical victory. But even as they moved toward it, the alien forces were not idle. They had begun to regroup, calling in reinforcements and deploying new weapons. A sudden roar filled the air. An enormous alien war machine, towering over the apex soldiers, charged into view. Its heavy legs stomped the ground with each step, and its weapons, capable of turning entire buildings to dust, glowed with menacing energy. The apex soldiers momentarily faltered as the machine fired a blast that sent several of their comrades flying. The ground shook as the alien war machine charged, its massive guns aimed directly at Captain Rain's team. Captain Rain's heart raced. He had seen this before. Massive, nearly indestructible enemies that seemed impossible to defeat. But the apex soldiers had been trained for the impossible. He turned to his team, his eyes hard with resolve. Spread out. Flank it from the sides. We need to get close to disable its weapons. The soldiers moved as one, sprinting toward the colossal war machine, their weapons blazing. The machine's guns roared as they fired, but the apex soldiers moved too quickly, darting behind cover, using their speed to avoid the blasts. Captain Rain led the charge, his own weapon locked onto the machine's weak points. He had studied the alien tech for years, and he knew where to strike. As the battle raged, the other apex soldiers moved to surround the war machine. Their strategy was simple but effective. Attack in waves, drawing the machine's fire while the others moved in for the kill. Captain Rain and his second-in-command, Lieutenant Sophia, managed to get close enough to plant explosive charges on the machine's main cannon. "Cover me," Captain Rain yelled as he dove for cover. Lieutenant Sophia moved quickly to activate the charges, her hand steady despite the chaos around them. She signaled to Captain Rain, and with a nod, they both sprinted to safety. A deafening explosion rang through the battlefield as the war machine's main cannon exploded. The alien machine staggered, its movements slowing as it struggled to keep its balance. The apex soldiers took advantage of the moment, launching a final coordinated assault. In seconds, the war machine fell, its giant frame crashing to the ground in a cloud of dust and smoke. "We've got it," Lieutenant Sophia exclaimed, a rare smile flickering across her face. Captain Rain allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction before his focus returned to the battlefield. "Stay alert. This is far from over." As the apex soldiers regrouped, the sky above darkened. More alien reinforcements arrived, this time in the form of ships, massive, heavily armored vessels that dwarfed even the largest of Earth's warships. The aliens had underestimated humanity's ability to fight back, but now they were beginning to see the apex soldiers as a real threat. General Carter watched from the command center, his eyes fixed on the battle unfolding before him. The apex soldiers were making progress, but he knew that the true fight was just beginning. The alien forces were vast, and their commanders were ruthless. They would not give up easily, especially now that they had realized the potential of Earth's last line of defense. "We can't afford to lose any more ground," General Carter muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Not now." The sound of the alien ship's engines grew louder, and the command center buzzed with urgency. The alien commanders had realized that their reinforcements were the key to winning the battle. Their goal was clear: crush the apex soldiers before they could organize any further resistance. The fight between the humans and the aliens escalated, with each side bringing more powerful forces to bear. The apex soldiers, despite their strength and skill, were being pushed back. The aliens' overwhelming numbers and advanced technology gave them an edge, but the humans were relentless. Captain Rain and his team, though weary and bloodied, refused to retreat. "We're not giving up," Captain Rain said, his voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. "Not now. Not ever." As the battle stretched into hours, then days, Earth's final stand became a desperate struggle for survival. The apex soldiers knew they were outnumbered, but they had one thing the aliens did not: humanity's unbreakable will to fight. It was a fight to the last, and they would give everything to protect their planet. The first step had been taken. The war machine was down, and the alien forces were reeling. But the real test was yet to come. Would the apex soldiers be able to withstand the full force of the alien invasion? Or would this be the final, tragic chapter in humanity's story? Only time would tell. But for now, the fight raged on, and the apex unit showed no signs of stopping. The battle was far from over. The aliens had underestimated the resolve of humanity. After the fall of their massive war machine, they had tried to regroup, but they could not shake the feeling of fear creeping into their ranks. The apex unit had proven that they were not just the last line of defense. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the apex soldiers continued their push forward, Captain Rain and his squad moved deeper into enemy territory. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and the echoes of distant explosions. They had made significant progress, but the aliens were regrouping quickly, bringing in more reinforcements. Despite the odds stacked against them, The Apex soldiers refused to back down. Their hearts were hardened, their training flawless, and their mission clear: defend Earth, no matter the cost. "Keep moving," Captain Rain ordered, his voice calm but firm. "We need to hit their supply lines before they can bring in any more heavy reinforcements." His team, though tired and bruised, moved with speed and purpose. They knew the stakes were high. Earth's fate rested in their hands. The aliens were relentless, but the Apex soldiers were unyielding. Lieutenant Sophia, the second in command, kept a sharp eye on the surroundings as they advanced. "There, an alien convoy heading our way," she reported, pointing towards a narrow pass in the rubble where several armored vehicles were making their way toward the alien base. Captain Rain's expression hardened. "That convoy is our target. We cut it off, and we take out their supplies. If we can slow them down, we'll have the advantage." The squad didn't hesitate. They split into smaller teams, each one moving toward their designated position with quiet precision. Their training had taught them the importance of working together, of striking with calculated speed and devastating force. As they neared the convoy, the sounds of alien chatter and engines grew louder. The alien soldiers were heavily armed and patrolling the area. Captain Rain's team crouched low, moving through the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The convoy would soon be in their grasp. "On my mark," Captain Rain whispered, his voice barely audible over the wind. His eyes locked onto the approaching convoy, his fingers tightening around his weapon. 3, 2, 1. With a burst of energy, the Apex soldiers sprang into action, charging from their hidden positions. Gunfire erupted, and the sound of explosions filled the air. The alien convoy was ambushed, caught off guard by the sudden onslaught. Within moments, several alien vehicles were reduced to smoldering wreckage, their crews caught in the chaos. The Apex soldiers worked with deadly efficiency, their movements synchronized as they eliminated every alien soldier in sight. The convoy had been an important lifeline for the enemy forces, and now it was in ruins. The alien soldiers, stunned and disoriented, scrambled to regroup, but the Apex soldiers were relentless. The convoy's destruction was a victory, but the battle was far from won. Captain Rain knew that the aliens would retaliate, and they would not go down without a fight. He turned to his team, his expression resolute. "Regroup," he ordered. "We've done our part. Now we move to the next objective. We hit them where it hurts." As the Apex unit gathered, their faces were hard with determination. The tide was turning. The aliens had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest, but they had severely underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and fight back. Earth's defenders were not the weak, helpless species the aliens had assumed. They were a force of nature, and they would not be easily defeated. The Apex soldiers began their march toward the next target, knowing that every step brought them closer to the final showdown. The aliens would have no choice but to either retreat or face total annihilation. "We fight until the end," Captain Rain said, his voice carrying the weight of his resolve. "No retreat, no surrender. Earth is ours, and we're not letting it go." As the Apex soldiers advanced, the sound of distant explosions reverberated through the air. The war was not over yet, but they were no longer fighting just to survive. They were fighting to win. The aliens had come to Earth with plans of domination, but now they faced the full wrath of a humanity that would not be crushed. The battle would continue. The stakes were higher than ever, but the Apex unit had proven that they could stand toe-to-toe with the alien invaders. With every victory, their confidence grew, and with it, the belief that Earth could still be saved. The tide had turned. The aliens might have been powerful, but the Apex unit had something that the invaders could never understand: the strength of a people willing to fight for everything they had. Earth's super soldiers had risen, and they were not going to fall. The Apex unit's victory over the alien convoy had sparked a renewed sense of hope in the hearts of Earth's defenders. But as the soldiers moved deeper into the heart of the alien invasion, they quickly realized that the battle was far from over. The aliens, though stunned by the destruction of their convoy, were not ready to give up. They had been fighting across the galaxy for years, and they had learned to adapt. This time, it was going to take more than just brute force to defeat them. As Captain Rain's team moved forward, the air was thick with tension. The world around them seemed to be crumbling, the ruins of once thriving cities now just husks of their former selves. The war had taken a heavy toll, and the survivors were left to pick up the pieces, desperate to hold on. "We need to change our approach," Captain Rain said, his voice calm but serious. He stood on a high vantage point, overlooking the battlefield. His team had made significant progress, but the aliens were closing in on all sides. The invasion was escalating, and the time for cautious strikes had passed. Lieutenant Sophia, always the strategist, nodded. "The aliens have adapted. We're dealing with an enemy that doesn't make the same mistake twice. It's time to hit them where it hurts." The captain agreed. He turned to his team, his expression hardening. "We're going to infiltrate their main command center. If we can take that down, it'll cripple their entire operation. This ends now." The Apex soldiers nodded in unison, their faces set with determination. They had trained for moments like this, moments when everything depended on them. The stakes were higher than ever, but they were ready. They were Earth's last hope. The mission was set. The Apex unit would infiltrate the enemy's stronghold and destroy their central command. It would not be easy. The alien forces were well defended, and the area surrounding the command center was swarming with troops. It would take all their skill, precision, and courage to make it through alive. As they moved toward their objective, the soldiers encountered resistance. Alien soldiers, now more organized and vicious than before, patrolled every corner. But the Apex soldiers were not deterred. They fought through wave after wave of alien forces, using their advanced training and equipment to outmaneuver the enemy. Every step forward was hard-won, but with every victory, their confidence grew. "We're almost there," Captain Rain said, peering through his binoculars. Ahead, the looming structure of the alien command center loomed, a monolithic fortress surrounded by alien soldiers and high-tech defenses. The team paused, assessing their options. The front entrance was heavily guarded, and the walls were reinforced with alien technology. It would be suicide to attempt a frontal assault. "We need to go underground," Lieutenant Sophia suggested. "There's a maintenance tunnel that runs beneath the base. We can sneak in, bypass the main defenses, and plant the explosives inside." The captain nodded. It was a risky move, but it was their best shot. "Move quickly. We don't have much time before they realize we're here." With that, the team split up, moving in stealth to reach the underground tunnel. They navigated through the war-torn city, using the debris as cover. The alien forces were closing in, but the Apex soldiers were experts at remaining unseen. Their movements were swift, efficient, and precise. As they neared the tunnel entrance, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Explosions echoed in the distance, and the sky above was filled with the distant sound of combat. The war was escalating at an alarming rate, but the Apex unit had a mission to complete. They had to stop the aliens before they could escalate the destruction further. They entered the tunnel, moving quickly through the dark, narrow passageways. The walls were lined with alien markings, a sign of the invaders' presence. But the soldiers didn't stop to examine the strange symbols. They were focused on one thing: reaching the heart of the command center. The deeper they went, the more difficult it became. The tunnels were full of traps, alien technology designed to stop intruders. But the Apex unit was prepared. They had encountered similar obstacles before, and with each challenge, they adapted. Their knowledge of alien technology, combined with their human ingenuity, made them a formidable force. Finally, they reached the core of the alien command center. The walls were lined with advanced technology, humming with energy. Alien soldiers stood guard, but they had no idea the Apex unit was close. "Ready," Captain Rain whispered. He signaled to his team, and they moved into position, silently preparing to strike. The moment had come. The fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. With a single command, Captain Rain unleashed the full force of their assault. Explosives were planted, and the walls of the command center began to crumble. The alien soldiers scrambled to react, but it was too late. The Apex unit had struck. Earth's last line of defense had risen, and they were unstoppable. The mission was a success, but the war was far from over. As the command center collapsed, the alien forces were thrown into disarray. But they were still a threat. The battle for Earth would continue, and the Apex soldiers would not rest until the invaders were defeated. But for the first time in the war, there was hope. The tide was turning. The Apex unit had proven that Earth could still fight back. The aliens might have thought it was over, but the true battle was just beginning. The destruction of the alien command center was a blow to the invaders, but it was not the end. The alien forces, though disoriented, regrouped quickly. The Apex unit's victory was short-lived, as the aliens launched a counterattack that pushed Earth's defenders to the brink. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, but now, the true test was about to begin. The ground shook as alien warships descended from the sky, their massive forms blotting out the sun. The sounds of battle grew louder with each passing moment. Captain Rain and his team stood atop the remnants of a destroyed building, looking out over the chaos. The alien forces had brought in reinforcements, and they were ready to make their final push to crush humanity once and for all. "Get ready," Captain Rain said, his voice cold with determination. "This is it. We finish this today." The Apex unit had already fought through countless waves of enemies, but this would be their greatest challenge yet. The alien warships were equipped with weapons far more powerful than anything Earth had ever seen. It was clear that the aliens were prepared to give everything they had to win, and it was up to the Apex soldiers to stop them. As the warships unleashed a barrage of firepower on the ground, Captain Rain's squad took cover, preparing for the oncoming assault. The streets were filled with smoke, debris, and the sounds of explosions. The air was thick with the stench of burnt metal and scorched earth. "Focus on the warships first," Lieutenant Sophia called out, her voice sharp as she scanned the battlefield. "If we can take those down, we'll have a chance." The Apex soldiers moved with speed and precision, dodging blasts and finding cover where they could. Their training had prepared them for moments like this, but no amount of preparation could fully prepare them for the sheer devastation of an all-out assault. They had one advantage: their knowledge of alien technology. As Captain Rain's team moved closer to the alien warships, they worked together to set up their weapons, targeting weak points in the ship's armor. The Apex unit soldiers were experts at identifying these vulnerabilities, and they wasted no time in exploiting them. "Target the engine cores," Captain Rain shouted, firing his weapon at the vulnerable sections of the warship. Explosions erupted as the Apex soldiers hit their marks, taking down several of the alien warships. But the battle was far from over. The remaining warships retaliated, firing their weapons with deadly precision. As the battle raged on, the Apex unit found themselves surrounded. They were running low on ammunition, and the alien forces were closing in. It seemed as though all hope was lost. But Captain Rain refused to surrender. "We're not done yet," he said firmly. "This is Earth, and we're going to fight for it." The team pressed forward, fighting tooth and nail against the alien invaders. They had no other choice. Earth's survival depended on them. With every alien they took down, the soldiers grew more determined. They were fighting for their families, their homes, and their future. Just when it seemed that the enemy would overwhelm them, something unexpected happened. A new wave of human reinforcements arrived. Fighters, soldiers, and civilians who had managed to survive the alien onslaught. The remaining survivors from around the globe had banded together, and they were not going to let Earth fall without a fight. The tide began to shift once more. The reinforcements fought side by side with the Apex unit, creating a united front against the alien invaders. The alien forces, now caught between the Apex soldiers and the newly arrived human fighters, struggled to hold their ground. "We're pushing them back," Lieutenant Sophia shouted with a grin, firing at an approaching alien soldier. The Apex soldiers and their new allies fought with a renewed sense of purpose. It was clear that they were not fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to reclaim their world. The aliens had made a grave mistake when they thought humanity was weak. With the combined strength of Earth's soldiers, the aliens began to falter. Their forces were stretched thin, their command structure disorganized. The Apex soldiers led the charge, pushing the invaders toward the edge of their defeat. "Keep pushing," Captain Rain ordered, his voice filled with the energy of a man who knew that victory was within their grasp. "We end this now." The final hours of the battle were a blur of gunfire, explosions, and the overwhelming sense of urgency. The remaining alien warships were taken down one by one, their crews defeated by the relentless assault of Earth's super soldiers. The ground was littered with the wreckage of alien vehicles and the bodies of fallen soldiers. The sky, once darkened by the alien ships, was now clear, a symbol of humanity's resilience. At last, the last of the alien invaders were driven back, their forces shattered beyond repair. The battle was over. Earth had won. The Apex unit stood victorious, bloody but unbowed. Captain Rain looked out over the battlefield, his eyes scanning the horizon, where the last of the alien warships had fallen. There was no celebration, no cheering, just a quiet sense of relief. "We did it," Lieutenant Sophia said, her voice soft but filled with pride. Captain Rain nodded. "We did, but this war has changed us. The aliens thought it was over, but we proved them wrong." As the dust began to settle, humanity stood tall. They had fought for their home, and they had triumphed. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it seemed like Earth had a fighting chance. The war had been won, but the true challenge would be rebuilding. The Earth had been scared by the battle, and it would take time to heal. But the people of Earth knew one thing: they would never stop fighting. The invaders had underestimated them, but now, humanity stood as a united force, stronger and more determined than ever. The battle was over, but the war had left deep scars on Earth. Smoke still lingered in the air as the people of Earth began to survey the damage. The cities were in ruins, and the land was scared by the destruction that the alien invaders had brought. Yet there was something different in the air now, something that hadn't existed before. Hope. Captain Rain stood amidst the wreckage, looking at the horizon. The alien forces had been defeated, but the work was just beginning. Earth had won the battle, but they had lost so much in the process. The cities were destroyed, and many lives were lost. Rebuilding would take years, but the spirit of humanity remained unbroken. Rain knew that the true challenge wasn't just defeating the invaders, it was ensuring Earth would rise again. "We have to rebuild," Captain Rain said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "We can't let them think they've broken us." Lieutenant Sophia stood beside him, her face weary but determined. "We'll rebuild, Captain. We'll rebuild stronger than ever." But they weren't the only ones who felt that drive. Around the world, the survivors were already making plans. From the ashes of destruction, humanity began to rise. In every corner of the Earth, people came together, offering their skills, their knowledge, and their hands to restore what had been lost. From the largest cities to the smallest villages, every person had a role to play. It wasn't just the super soldiers who were building the future. It was every human on Earth. Earth's governments, once fractured and weak, now saw the importance of unity. World leaders from every corner of the globe gathered, discussing how they would rebuild not just their cities, but their societies. They had seen the power of human unity and resilience, and they knew that it would be this unity that would carry them forward. It was time to put aside differences and work together for the greater good. The planet that had been broken by war would now be healed by the strength of its people. Meanwhile, the Apex unit had been given a new mission. Their work on the battlefield was over, but their role in Earth's future was just beginning. They had proven themselves as the ultimate defenders of humanity, but now they would become the guardians of its future. They had been trained to fight, but now they would lead efforts to rebuild, using the knowledge they had gained from their time in battle. Captain Rain and his team were assigned to help train new generations of soldiers. Humanity's survival had come at a heavy price, and they couldn't afford to lose the knowledge and skills that had saved them. Earth needed to prepare for the possibility of another attack, one that might come from an unexpected direction. They had survived this time, but next time could be different. The Apex unit would ensure that humanity was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. As Rain stood in front of a group of young soldiers, teaching them the same skills that had once saved his life, he couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. The invaders thought Earth was weak, that humanity would crumble under the pressure of their invasion. But they had underestimated the power of Earth's people. They had underestimated humanity's will to survive. The aliens thought they could wipe us out, Rain said to the young soldiers, his voice filled with pride. But they were wrong. We're still here. We will always fight for this planet, no matter what. The young soldiers stood at attention, their faces filled with determination. They knew that the future of Earth rested on their shoulders, just as it had on the shoulders of the Apex unit. Earth's super soldiers had set an example, and it was now their responsibility to carry that torch forward. Over the next few months, Earth began to rebuild. The cities were slowly brought back to life, with towering structures rising from the rubble. Advanced technology, much of which had been lost in the invasion, was rediscovered and put to use once more. The Apex soldiers worked tirelessly to ensure that the mistakes of the past were not repeated, while also preparing humanity for the future. But the rebuilding wasn't just physical. It was mental and emotional as well. The war had left scars on every person, and healing those wounds would take time. Humanity had faced the very real possibility of extinction, and that kind of trauma left its mark. Yet, as the years passed, something remarkable happened. People began to heal. Earth's citizens found strength in each other, coming together to build not only a new world, but a new way of living. The war had changed humanity. It had shown them the power of unity, the strength that came from working together for a common cause. The lessons of the battle, the sacrifices made by so many, would not be forgotten. Humanity had become stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever before. Captain Rain and his team stood at the forefront of this new world. They had fought for Earth, but now they were fighting for its future. They were the first generation to face the aliens and survive, and they would ensure that the generations to come would never forget the lessons of their struggle. As the sun rose over the rebuilt cities, Captain Rain stood tall, looking out over the horizon. The war had been won, but this was just the beginning. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The Earth had risen from the ashes of war, and now it stood stronger than ever. The buildings were rebuilt, cities restored, and new advancements were being made every day. Captain Rain and his team had guided humanity through its darkest hours, and now they were witnesses to the dawn of a new era. An era where humanity wasn't just surviving, they were thriving. The battle against the invaders had been brutal, but it had also united Earth in ways never imagined before. The super soldiers of Earth, once thought to be the last line of defense, had become the symbol of humanity's strength, resilience, and unity. Their sacrifice and bravery had shown the world what they were capable of, and it had inspired generations to come. Captain Rain, now a hero, stood among his fellow soldiers, watching the vast skyline of the capital city. The war was over, and Earth had not only survived, but had come out of it stronger, more determined, and more connected than ever before. But Rain knew that Earth's true victory lay not in the destruction of their enemies, but in the unity and perseverance of its people. They had faced extinction, and yet they had chosen to rise. With the alien forces defeated, the human race was now focused on the future. Earth had learned a painful lesson, that survival wasn't just about being strong. It was about coming together, putting aside differences and ensuring that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. The survivors knew this more than anyone. It wasn't just the Apex unit that had fought for the future. It was every human, from every corner of the world. As the years passed, Earth's influence spread throughout the galaxy. The once fragile human race was now a formidable force, respected by alien civilizations far and wide. Earth's super soldiers, trained to protect their planet, were now ambassadors of peace, ensuring that the galaxy knew that Earth would never again be seen as weak or vulnerable. But the journey was far from over. While Earth had won the battle, the universe was vast, and there were still many unknowns lurking in the shadows. Captain Rain understood this all too well. Their survival was only the beginning of a much larger journey. He knew that, despite the progress they had made, humanity would always be in a constant state of readiness. New threats would arise, new challenges would emerge, and they had to be prepared to face them head-on. Rain turned to Lieutenant Sophia, who had stood by his side throughout the darkest moments. She was looking at the horizon, just as he had done many times before. She smiled and said, "We did it, Captain. We saved Earth. Now it's time to protect it. For good." Rain nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "Yes, we did, and we will continue to protect it, no matter what." The human race had been tested, and they had proven their worth. But it wasn't just their strength that had seen them through. It was their unbreakable spirit, their ability to adapt, and their unwavering determination to never give up. No matter what the future held, Earth would face it together, united. In the years to come, Captain Rain and his team would continue to train new generations of soldiers, ensuring that humanity would always have protectors ready to defend them from any threat. They had already proven themselves once on the battlefield, and they would do it again if necessary. But as the new age began, Earth also focused on growth. The technology that had been brought back from the brink of destruction was used to not only rebuild, but to improve the lives of every citizen. Earth's scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to create a future where technology and nature coexisted in harmony, and where humanity could flourish in ways never before imagined. The scars of war were still visible, but Earth's citizens had learned to carry them with pride. They had faced extinction, and they had overcome it. Now they were looking forward to a bright future, where their greatest strength was not in their weapons, but in their unity. Captain Rain watched as children played in the streets, their laughter echoing in the air. It was a sound he never thought he would hear again. The future was bright, and humanity's legacy was just beginning. The story of Earth's survival would be told for generations to come. It would be a story of hope, of resilience, and of the incredible power that comes when humanity stands together. The super soldiers of Earth had fought for this future, and now it was time for the rest of humanity to carry the torch. As the sun set on the horizon, Captain Rain stood tall, knowing that Earth's true victory wasn't in the battles they had fought, but in the future they had created. The world was no longer on the brink of destruction. Earth had not only survived, it had triumphed. And now, with its legacy secure, the planet could finally look forward to a peaceful and prosperous future. The galaxy would never forget the rise of Earth's super soldiers, and humanity would never forget the price they paid for this victory. The future was theirs to shape, and they would shape it together.